Hello there and welcome to the Card Grotto. Today I'm doing some clean and simple layered foiling using the Spellbinders Becca Feeken Sweet Cardlets Glimmer project kit. So I'm starting off by creating this card here. This is the Becca Feeken Just Because Glimmer hot foil plate and die set. So I'm just turning on the Glimmer hot foil system, and while I'm letting that heat up I'm just going to get the Glimmer hot foil plates ready for foiling. So this is that set, and it's a really cute set. You get a little bee there and a crown for the bee, some sentiments and a honeycomb background, and some extra dies to cut out the bee, and then also some little honeycomb shapes as well. So I'm going to foil the bee onto some white cardstock with black foil. I really love using black foil with these kind of images because it kind of looks like they're stamped. I know that kind of defeats the object of foiling, but I really love sometimes just using this kind of black. It's kind of matte in appearance, I suppose, rather than really shiny. So I'm just placing the foil down onto the cardstock and then the glimmer plate facing downwards, and then I'm just adhering that down with some low tack tape. And this is my preferred method of foiling. I find that I get a really nice placement foiling this way, but I do share later on in the video how I do it a different way as well. So once the Glimmer hot foil system is heated up, I'm just placing my bee down with the plate facing downwards. I pressed the timer button and that heated up for, I'm not sure how long it lasts, about 30 seconds or so, and then I can remove the platform from the base and then add my shims on top. So for my machine I like to use a piece of printer paper and then also the shims that come with the Glimmer hot foil system, and then I'm just running that through the Platinum 6. You want to run it through fairly slowly, just a nice kind of even pressure, and then I'm adding the platform back into the base so that it can heat up for next time. I can remove the shims and then carefully remove that cardstock piece, and then I can just carefully remove that tape there, and then I can lift that off, and I've got a really pretty bee that's nicely foiled in the black foil onto white cardstock. And then I'm just going to do the same thing with the sentiment. So I have foiled the sentiment using gold foil onto black licorice cardstock. So let that heat up and then running that through the Platinum 6 again. Removing those shims, and then I can remove that sentiment. I really love that gold against the black. I did get a little bit of over foiling, so I'm just using a craft knife and really lightly just scraping that away from the cardstock. But you can also use a sand eraser as well, and that does the same thing. You just want to be really quite gentle. I can then use the coordinating die to cut that out. The set does come with some extra wings that you can add on to the bee as well, but I decided to just keep it as the one layer. And then I'm going to use the sentiment strip from the Holiday Sentiment Series 2 Glimmer hot foil plate and die set from Spellbinders. Just using that to cut out that sentiment. So just using some low tack tape to keep that in place. And then I can run those through the Platinum 6 to die cut them out. And when I'm die cutting any kind of foiling, I like to add a piece of printer paper over the top, and I usually use the same printer paper that I do for the foiling, just so that I can reuse it multiple times. So just running that through the die cutting machine, and then I can just carefully remove the die cuts from the dies. And that's a really pretty bee. I really love the intricate design on that. And then I can just remove that sentiment strip as well. Next I have foiled the honeycomb background onto some white cardstock with gold foil again. And I have foiled that onto a panel that is 5 1/4 inches by 4 inches. And I've added some foam tape onto the back of that and adding it onto an A2 size white card base. So that's a finished size of 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. And then I've got my little bee here, and I'm just manipulating his wings slightly just to give him a little bit more dimension. And then I can add some foam tape onto the back of him and then place him down onto the card. And I'm just lightly placing him down to start with so that I can add my sentiment as well, just to make sure that I get the placement where I want it to be. So I've cut my sentiment down into 2 strips, added some foam tape onto the back of those, and just placing those down onto the card. And then once I'm happy where they are, then I can just move the bee slightly just to where I want it to be. And then to finish off the card, I am going to add a Studio Cartier sequin and then also some Hero Arts black enamel dots. And I really like how the card turned out. It's very plain, very clean and simple like my usual style, but I really love the foiling on this one with the black, gold and white colour combination. Really sparkles in the light. And there's lots of dimension on the card as well with all the different layers. Next up, I'm using the Becca Feeken Graceful Swan Glimmer Hot Foil Plate and Die set, and it comes with this really beautiful ornate background piece, and I'm going to foil that onto some grey cardstock. And usually I foil like I did in the beginning of the video, but for this background I found that I get a better impression by foiling probably the way that you're supposed to foil. So I'm just letting that foil plate heat up on the platform. I'm just showing you the swans here. These are really pretty. You get an outline and then also a solid, and then a couple of sentiments and the die to cut out the swan as well. And this set comes in the kit, but you can also purchase all of these sets separately as well. And this is the opal foil that comes in the kit, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And I'm going to place that shiny side down onto the platform on top of the plate. I'm just going to let that heat up for a couple of seconds, and then I can remove the platform from the base. Carefully just removing that there. And then I can place a piece of FSJ Tin Pail Cardstock on top. And this is a really pretty, really pale shade of grey. And I thought it would work nicely with the opal foil. So I've just run that through the Platinum 6 again, and then this time once I lift up the piece of cardstock, the foil is attached to the cardstock, so I can just carefully remove that. And it's really difficult to see here on camera, unfortunately, because the cardstock is so pale, and then obviously the foil is pale as well, but it's just a really pretty pattern on the cardstock there. And then for this one, I found that I could pretty much just remove the excess foil with my fingers if I got any over foiling. And then I'm just going to be careful to place that hot dye onto the silicone mat that comes with the Glimmer hot foil system. Next, I'm cutting out the pattern using the Nestabilities Hemstitch Squares Etched dies, just running that through the Platinum 6. And this is just going to cut out that background piece. And here I'm just showing you in the light the really pretty kind of rainbow colours that you get from this foil. It's just absolutely beautiful in real life. So next I'm adding that piece onto a card base, and this is a 5" by 5" white card base. So I'm adding that on top with some foam tape. And then I have foiled that outline swan onto some white cardstock using silver foil. And I really love just the pretty outline of this, but like I said, there is a solid version in the set as well. So I've added some foam tape onto the back of that and just placing that down there onto the middle of that background. And then I have foiled this sentiment using Skybright foil, and this is a really pretty pale blue colour, and I thought that all of the colours worked nicely together. They're really quite all pale in colour, which isn't great for videos, and I do apologise for that, but in real life I think it gives a really nice elegance to the card. So I'm just using some foam squares here and placing them either side of where the swan would be, so that when I place this down, this is all going to be at the same level. So just using some tweezers there just to make sure that I get that in place, and then once I'm happy I can press everything down. And then to finish off this card, I'm adding some Lucy's Iridescent Jewels, just using some craft glue here just to help me out with the placement of those. Just thought that 3 either side of the swan kind of balanced it out nicely. So just keeping them in place there. And that's that second card finished. Like I said, it's not great in terms of filming the card, but in real life it is very pretty. And swans, I always think of like an elegant animal and very sort of graceful, and I think that the colours work nicely for that theme on this card. And then last but not least, I'm using the Becca Feeken Lovely Ladybug Glimmer Hot Foil Plate and Die Set. So I have already foiled the Ladybug body onto some white cardstock using black foil, and then the wings come separately that you can foil as well, and I foiled them onto white cardstock with black foil again. And for this I wanted to colour them in, so I'm just using some red Copic markers here, and the foiling actually resists the Copic markers, which is really nice, so you can definitely colour in foiled images if you wanted to. So just using some red shades of Copic marker here, and just going from the darkest colour to the lightest colour, just colouring those in. I did think about colouring the entire ladybug, or in the UK we call them ladybirds. I was thinking of colouring the entire thing in, but I really liked just having that pop of red on the ladybug, and then having the wings be the colour, and then the body just being that ornate pattern with the black and white. This does come with coordinating dies to cut out the wings, but I didn't really want that white outline, so I'm just fussy cutting that out, and then I'm using a memento marker just to colour in the core of the cardstock so that it's going to look like I fussy cut that out perfectly. And then I can add some foam squares onto the back of the wings, and then I can place that on top of the ladybird or ladybug's body. I've then cut a tag using an older FSJ tag die, and I have foiled some dots onto that. This is the polka dot strip Glimmer hot foil plate, and I thought that the polka dots would work really nicely with the spots on the ladybird. So I foiled that with some red foil. And then I've also foiled the sentiment in red onto black licorice cardstock. I've cut that down with the same Holiday Sentiment Series 2 die, and just placing that on the bottom of the tag there with some foam tape. And then I can add some foam tape or some foam squares onto the back of the ladybird, and then I can place that down onto the tag as well. And then I'm going to add some twine through the top of the tag. So I'm just fussing around here, trying to get it how I want it to. And then once I'm happy, I can just cut off the strings of that. And then I'm going to place that tag with some more foam tape onto an A2 size white card base. So this card, although very clean and simple in design, has got a lot of layers, and I think with all of these cards, I think the added dimension of all of the layers just really intensifies the design of it in a way, and just adds some added interest to clean and simple cards. So that was a very quick look at the Becca Feeken Sweet Cardlets Glimmer Project Kit from Spellbinders. Links to the products that I used will be in the description bar on YouTube and also over on my blog. And there's lots of extra inspiration over on the Spellbinders blog using this kit as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.